So today we're doing this and this. Stay tuned. Hi guys, so for those of you who don't know, my name is Michael and I am the woodworker for MK Designs, and I'm here today with my friend James King in his shop. For those of you who don't know, he is King's Fine Woodworking. Basically it's him, Maya, and his daughter and his wife, Rupa, and the sometimes mentioned Kyle. So yeah, James and I have been talking about 6-7 months about doing a collaboration video, and we finally got the time and whatever to do it. And so yeah, we both talked the last few days about what we're going to do, and we got actually 2 separate projects. I'm going to build one for my shop, he's going to build one for his shop. We're going to help each other as we go along, and we're both going to have 2 different videos. One's going to be on his channel, one's going to be on mine, obviously. So yeah, let's get to it and we'll show you how we did it. Okay, so before I get started on the build, I wanted to show you guys what I'm working with here. All right, so this is basically where I keep all my tools that I don't leave outside under the tarps. And here's the piece that I'm making. This is my table, my outfeed table, and storage actually. As you can see, I got little totes and whatnot to help keep some of the things stored. And my drill press is over there, and I got some other stuff on this side as well, but I'm not going to bother showing you that. But anyway, yeah, my sandpaper and stuff, they're in drawers down here, and my drills just they get put wherever I have room for them, because I'm using them a lot, and a lot of times they wind up staying on this table, or I put them on the drill press table or on the little thing I have over here. But what I want to do is I want to put this against that wall back there, and yeah, I know I'm gonna have to move this stuff, and that's fine. So that's what I'm working with, and hopefully this will help clear up some stuff and keep this stuff in a more organized fashion. So we'll see. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to break down the plywood. We're both trying to use one sheet. We both wound up using a little more than one sheet. But we're using 3/4 inch Baltic birch, and we need to break it down for both his project and for mine. And James is, if you haven't figured out by now, James is building a flip top cart to put 2 different tools on, and I am building the cordless charging station with a little bit of storage. What I did was I took a couple different designs from other woodworkers out there and kind of combined them together a little bit, and we're going to see how well this works. So we are cutting as much as we can on the table saw. This piece here was a little awkward, but it was too wide to go in the miter saw, so we had to just take our time and be careful and cut it on the table saw and to get it broken down. Now that we got most of James's broken down and cut out, well, it's time to start on mine. And this is the first cut on my sheet of plywood. Now I know what it looks like here. It looks like James and I both are pushing, him near the fence and me away from the fence, but I'm actually not pushing forward. I'm just, my hands are riding along. We were having trouble with this piece wobbling on us, so we had me over there to help kind of stabilize it a little bit. That was all I was doing. For those of you that would be interested in building this yourself, I do have plans available on my website, and I'll be sure to put a link to that down in the description of the video. And also be sure to check out James's video on his channel for his flip top cart. I'll put a link to that in the description as well. I'd like to take a minute and ask that if you haven't done so, check out some of my other videos, and if you like what you see, please click on that subscribe button and make sure you click on that little bell notification so that you get notified every time I come out with a new video. I try to come out with new videos every week, but as most of you know, I can't because of the weather. I'm not always able to get out in the shop and work, but I try to come out with a video as often as I can. So for a lot of the smaller pieces, I wound up using the miter saw. I just walked over and set up my length on the fence and cut away. James has this new fancy Capex 10-inch, and it took a minute to get used to it because I'm used to the other styles where you grab the handle a little different. But all in all, it's a really good saw. So now I'm going to start marking out for the bottom where I'm going to put my slots to be able to hang my drills. Once I have those marked, then I'm going to go and mark the centers of each one of them so that I know exactly where to drill the holes. And this all makes sense here shortly. And yes, I know that on the plans in front of me there are 5 slots and I'm only putting 4. That would be because I messed something up when I was doing the original design. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a hole at the end of it, and then I will cut on the lines up to the edge of the hole, and that'll give me my slots. Now, I'm sure you guys have noticed that I don't use a jigsaw much, and you're about to see why. I'm not very good with one. This is a trick that I learned a long time ago. I use it with a circular saw most of the time, but I figured I'd give it a shot with the jigsaw this time and cut these lines out. And yeah, it didn't quite work the way I was hoping. But basically, you set up your saw and set a square, usually a speed square, on one side of it and use it to keep your saw straight and cut along your line. And as you're about to see, it didn't quite work quite as well as I wanted it to. Yeah, that one got kind of messed up, but we won't tell anybody. So James decided to show me a little trick, which is apparently used in construction trade quite a lot using a circular saw, is you line up your saw and you use your fingers on the guide to guide the saw and cut straight on your line. But of course with a circular saw you can't get all the way to the end, so I had to use the jigsaw to clean it up. So now with that done, I've got it all dry assembled. I don't have it in any kind of clamps, I just got it all sitting there put together. And this is basically what it's going to look like when it's all said and done. So now it's time to start putting it all together.
I'm going to use glue and brad nails to hold them as a temporary clamp. Everybody says that, but one question that always came to mind when I started watching YouTube videos, and everybody said they were using pin nails or brad nails for temporary clamps, is, well, how do you dig them out? Well, you don't. They say that because they're not permanent. They're not going to permanently hold it. The glue is actually going to permanently hold it, but I'm also going to add screws to this just to make it a little more stable.
If we can go to the ER today, that'd be great.
So when I go to add the screws, I'm going to drill a pilot hole, then I'm going to run a countersink, and then I'm going to drive the screw in. And I'm going to do this on every joint. And I'm going to do the exact same thing for the back. Now to set it up and see what it looks like. So far, so good. Now with that part done, it's time to start cutting down the pieces for the storage. Now I'm going to be cutting the grids. I'm going to be doing the bottom part out of 3/4 inch Baltic birch, and I'm going to cut all my pieces and then assemble it. For the shelves on the bottom part, I cut them lengthwise at 12 inches on the table saw, and then I brought them over to the miter saw, and I'm cutting them at 10 inches. I need 4 of these. And now for the vertical supports, I am ripping them at 3 inches. That's how tall I want them to be. And then I'll take them over to the miter saw and I'll cut them down at 10 inches. I only need 4 of these as well, but I'm cutting 6, and that'll make sense here shortly as to why I'm doing that. So before I actually cut the pieces, I'm going to trim off the edges to make sure I have a square edge, and then I'll cut out my 6 pieces. And before I start assembling anything, I'm going to go ahead and cut all the pieces I need for the upper part as well. So here I am using 1/2 inch Baltic birch, and I'm trimming these down to 3/4 of an inch, and I actually need 30 of these. Once I have them cut here, then I will move over to the miter saw and I will cut them at 9 inches. Once I have all those cut, then I'm going to cut the pieces for the shelves out of hardyboard or masonite. And I had to get Maya and Kyle's help with this because, you know, hardboard is very flimsy, and yeah. So anyway, I ripped them down to 12 inches, and now I'm cross-cutting them at 20 inches. And I'll show you why that is here in just a second. And I need 15 of these. Okay, the reason I cut them at 20 inches is because I wanted a notch on each end, and it's kind of hard to drill or cut out a notch. The simplest way and most accurate way to do it is actually to cut in the center of two pieces at the same time, and it's easier to do that if you have them still together and haven't cut them apart yet. So I cut them at 20 inches, and now I'm drilling out the centers, and because of the nature of hardboard, I had to stop after I went through each layer and clear out the bit. As you can see, it's clogged up right here. So I had to just take my time and go through and take each one individually. And you see Maya right there cleaning it out while I'm looking for a tool to clean it out. She just used her finger. So either way works. So once I get all the holes drilled, then I bring it over to the miter saw and I cut right down the center, and now I have two equal pieces with a notch on the end. So now I'm going to start assembling the bottom grid, and I'm going to do that in a couple of steps. First, I'm going to make little T-pieces. I'm going to put glue on the center of the shelves, and then I'm going to put glue on the edge of the vertical pieces, and I'm going to put them together and just shoot a couple of brad nails in them. That should be plenty strong enough to hold. It would still take 100 pounds to break it, 100 pounds of force to break it loose. And my mother decided to join me today, and she's never been in James King's shop before, and I asked her to put a little bit more glue on the end of that piece. And in true James King fashion, she put too much. But it's kind of a rule in James's shop that you have to use too much glue.
Actually, this bucket's better.
Okay.
Aren't you sponsored by a glue company?
Yeah, we still got 35 gallons sitting here if we need some.
I don't need any glue company. They just sent you a whole bunch of it?
55 gallon drum.
Wow. Where'd you put that at?
Say that out
I
loud.
was in here for a long time.
One time I tried to.
Say it out loud, seriously.
Too much, not enough.
That's exactly right. Your mom is smart.
Get her.
For those of you that didn't hear, what she said was it's better to have too much than not enough. But anyway, I'm going to put some pin nails in, and I'm going to do this with all four of them, and then I'll show you how I assemble them. So the way I'm going to assemble them, and this is the reason I cut the two extra pieces, is I'm going to put these in as spacers, and then I am going to place the T piece on top of the spacers and I'm going to attach it in with glue, and then I'm going to put pin nails on both sides, and then I'm going to, just like I did with the rest of the cabinet, I am going to run pilot holes, countersinks, and run some screws into it. Okay, so now to assemble the top, I cut an extra piece of the shelving, and I'm just putting a couple pieces of 120 grit sandpaper on it, and then I'm putting glue on the support piece, and then I will run pin nails in it, and that should be plenty strong enough. We're not going to talk about the two missed holes up there. I couldn't see when I was drilling it and totally missed. So the reason for the sandpaper is to give a little bit of extra space in there so that the shelves will slide in and out. The whole purpose of this design for the top grid is to be able to adjust it as necessary. And I just repeated this for all 30 of the cleats. And so after I got those in, now it's time to sand it a little bit and get rid of some of the rough edges and get rid of all my marks, my lines that I drew on it. And so I just used 150 grit sandpaper and went over the whole thing and sanded it down, and yeah, then we moved on. The next thing I wanted to do before I moved any further is I wanted to get my French cleat cut, because that's how I'm going to hang it. And so I ripped it down on the table saw and then attached it with glue, pin nails, and screws. So another rule whenever you're working in James's shop is you have to have Cy photobomb your videos. So yeah, we got her to do that. So because this piece is going to be hanging in my living room, I wanted to make it look a little nicer, so I decided to edge band it. And I've never actually used edge banding before, so James is taking the time to show me here how to do it, and then I'll go through and put it on the rest of it. So essentially what you want to do when you're using iron-on edge banding is, first step is obviously iron it on. And then once you do that, you'll trim it up and then sand it a little bit to make it smooth and flush. And here they both are, fully assembled and ready to finish. And once again, photobomber. Now the next step for me is to get it home and get it put where I want it at. So I'm going to find my studs, and then I'm going to attach the other half of my French cleat and get it hung up and get stuff put on it. Oh yeah, and I forgot to do this while I had it on the ground. I needed to drill a hole through the back of it so that I could run the cables for my chargers.
Okay, so yeah, that's mine. And this is what I needed it for. I needed a place for my drills to hang and my charging station. This particular charger right here, you've got two outlets on the front that you can plug other things into, like my phone charger. You've also got USB outlets you can do the same with. Sandpaper. I'm going to put some of my spare saw blades in here as well. And just different finishing type stuff, like my card scrapers and sanding stuff and a couple of drill bits. I just need some place to try and organize my storage a little bit better. So it's not done yet. I was actually going to put a couple of coats of lacquer on it before I hung it up, but the weather outside today is not actually going to allow me to do that, and I needed to get the video done. So that's why I haven't put everything on here yet. I just put a few things just to show you guys what I was thinking. And I'm going to pull it off and I'm going to lacquer it, finish it up, attach a power strip to it to plug these into, and I think it'll do what I need it to do, and yeah, it should be with me for quite a while. It was a lot of fun doing this with James at his shop, as well as helping him with his flip top cart. And yeah, I'm looking forward to doing it again. So I am still working on the big video, you know, the nightstands. I'm sure most of you have figured that out by now. And hopefully the weather will hold out and I can get those done pretty soon. I've got a few other things in the works, and yeah, so until next time, guys, happy creating.